Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Heyo, Patrick, what's going on, bud?
Not too bad at all, buddy. How are you getting on?
Great. Looks like you got the Unbroken Man for us again, huh?
Oh, yes. He's on about will Ireland have same rights as LA?
Oh, let's see what he has to say. Let us
Yes.
see what the Unbroken Man has to say.
If you've been watching my channel here on YouTube, guys, over the last while, you're probably aware that I'm not overly gone on multiculturalism,
What?
especially the way it's forced upon us as well.
Isn't it?
It's not that I don't like people from all different places.
So multiculturalism is forced on Ireland?
Well, we were always used to it ever since the early days of the Celtic Tiger onwards. A lot of foreign labourers coming over in our building sites.
Right.
They're mainly from Eastern Europe and so on, which was grand. We needed labour, as they say, during that time.
Right, but then people who were going to gain Irish citizenship would attempt to assimilate into the culture, right?
Yes, and yeah, I worked with quite a lot of Eastern Europeans over my many, many years, and great people, absolutely fantastic workers.
Even the
Really
Albanians?
polite.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No. Well. I'm thinking more. Well, it's mainly Polish, Ukrainians, Latvians, and so on. I was dealing with,
Got it.
and really nice people. I actually went for a few holidays over to Poland, that neck of the woods, that they say over the years. Absolutely brilliant.
We were watching
Really
a lady
cool.
who was being interviewed in Ballymena saying something along those lines as well. Like, you can't say anything bad about people from other places.
Oh yes, and we will be showing. Well, we will be showing that clip now later on for our audience, as they say.
Perfect. So it's being forced on Irish culture. Everybody else's culture is going to come before your culture, is what I understand him saying.
Yeah, you're very scared to say. Well, it's more down to our laws as well. You're very resident, very slow to open your mouth, I should say. Sorry, there's a bit of a Freudian slip.
So you have a forced DEI, but at a cultural level in your country?
No, I wouldn't say we've always been very welcoming. Now, I won't say that we never were, but it's a sudden, massive influx in the last 3 to 4 years.
Right. Well, you had a population of approximately 5 million before you got tons and tons of immigration, mostly dumped on you from Northern Ireland, right, into the Republic?
Yes, into the Republic. Well, it's mainly coming from Europe through the UK, through Northern Ireland, because we have an open border agreement with Northern.
Right. Well, an unregulated border is going to do that. You can ask the United States and people in the states of Texas, Arizona.
Well, I wouldn't say it's unregulated. It's just we've always been wrestling to have a hard border again in Northern Ireland,
right,
through our history. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you want to include those who are of Irish descent in the Republic, right?
Yes, and plus we want to kind of help Northern Ireland as well in a lot of ways over there. That was the main reason why not having a hard border.
I do. I like all sorts of nationalities, Europeans, and I even like Yanks. I like Americans. I like everyone, really, honestly.
Thanks, bud.
I meet nice people from all over the world, especially in my line of work. So at the lower end of the reasons that I don't like it is the sort of what it can do to societies in which, you know, you kind of feel a little bit more isolated in a multicultural society than you will in a homogeneous one. Am I saying that right? But at the more serious end then...
I believe it's homogenous, but I mean,
yes,
far be it from me.
He almost got it right.
He got close. He got close.
Yeah, he got close. Yeah.
Props.
He's obviously recording very early in the morning, but it looks as where he is.
Yep. Bunch of little dinghies and boats out there in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Of which I think good old multiculturalism is failing us. It's kind of evident in what we see recently in LA with these riots. Incredibly violent, dystopian, evil riots that we're seeing in LA. This is really nasty stuff. Very, very bad. And to me, it's sort of the result of, you know, different societies mixed together and not working out. That's kind of evident. So this all started out...
Would he be right?
Go ahead.
You think he's right about what's happening in LA? You think it's the experiment
I'm going to let drop a little secret. I actually reside in the state of California.
Okay.
And friends, family friends, people I've known for years who don't reside in California and all over the country and all over the world will ask me, oh my God, how are the riots in LA affecting you?
Do they realize how big California is?
No, I live so far north away from Los Angeles over a baby mountain range
Yes, I
and
was
a
saying.
few hours down the way that it affects me in the sense that
It'd be like you asking me about a riot in Paris where I'm living. You know what I mean?
right. Well, worse than that, it'd be
that's the distance we're talking here, by the way.
yeah, it's a huge. Yeah, you can drive north and south in the state of California for about 11 or 12 hours, and then you'll get to the southern border of Oregon from the northern border of Mexico in the state of California. It's massive.
Is that kind of like, is that a tour you could do, I wonder?
You can go down Highway 1. It's pretty amazing, actually. It's beautiful. If you ever get out here,
we'll rest stop along the way.
Oh, there's a ton of places to look at the Pacific Ocean.
The next question I'm going to ask is for a friend. Is there a lot of bars along the way?
Oh, for a friend. For research for science, yes. There's enough bars for an Irishman.
Just for research purposes.
For research, of course. But no, they don't understand the size of the state. But what happens is because of things that occur in Los Angeles and LA being the largest amount of the constituency of the state of California, a lot of the things that Southern California votes for, they get just based on the
sheer numbers
of people, right?
Yeah.
Water rights, a bunch of things like that. They decided to live in a desert and they just vote to take our water in the northern portions of the state.
Well, like if I lived in a desert, I'd probably vote to take your water too. Just saying. Sorry.
Well, but you're not going to send the conversation soldiers. I get it. But the problem is edicts out of Sacramento cause issues all over the state when they attempt to regulate one portion of the state, right? So it becomes awkward. Right. Okay. And then with Governor Newsom and President Trump having a tiff, it makes it even more difficult. So
yeah, they're definitely not fans of each other, is the nicest way of putting that one.
But do I think it's evil what's going on in LA? Well, people want to stay in the United States, and to show they want to stay in the United States, they wave flags of foreign nations and they get violent.
Yeah.
If it's not evil, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
You're definitely not winning any friends over by carrying on that way, as they said.
Yeah. Bad optics, bro. Bad optics. Here we go.
With the whole border thing, the ICE thing, okay? Trump's will to put an end to the flow of people coming through the border between Mexico and the southern part of the United States, I suppose, along California and Texas and stuff. So it's predominantly a California thing, and there's a massive Mexican Hispanic community in California made up.
So that's not exactly correct based on the geography.
Yeah.
Arizona, New Mexico, the 100 and some odd miles of border they have, and Texas, all of them are equally affected. It's not just California. The thing with California is a sanctuary state. So when they get to California, they take tons and tons of resources because their state has decided to give them driver's licenses and all kinds of rights. In some places, they can actually be elected to office.
We have similar issues over here at the moment.
And they can vote, which is very strange, right? So it's people who don't have...
They can vote here too. People don't realize that they can vote in our local elections, like county councils. So if you reside in a county, you can vote for the county council, even if you're not Irish. I don't think people quite understood that either.
Right, but doesn't resident mean that you are a citizen? Isn't that part of the thing? Or is it just if you live there, you're considered resident enough?
No, it's a distinction. They can vote for the local county council. You can't vote for RTDs until you're an Irish citizen. So you can't vote for the two upper houses. You can only vote for the local county councillors.
So you cannot vote for the Dáil, right?
Yes, or the Seanad.
But you can vote for local councils and things like that.
Yeah, local council, like Cork City Council or Cork County Council or Limerick Council or Limerick City Council. You know, for really local government. It does affect quite a lot of things, by the way. People
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I suppose of, native Mexicans and then a mixture of.
While Mexican ancestry is the largest single group, California's Hispanic population includes people of various Latin American heritage, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Guatemalan, Honduran, Salvadoran, and
people of South American descent.
Puerto Rico's amazing.
Sort of a mixture. So you've probably seen the clips of the guys chucking rocks at cars and stuff like that. But there's also, watching a video earlier on with a journalist, a guy called Aldo something. He's the guy that took the photo of the fella on top of the car waving the Mexican flag. They love their flags. They love their Mexican flags. If they're so proud of their country, why didn't they stay there? Oh wait, no, they brought their country.
I think Aldo.
Sorry,
but
I was saying the same thing the other day. I won't say where.
Well, I think he works with or for Cam Higgins. I think he's with that group of journalists that was out there on the street. Because I was watching Cam Higgins' stuff, and Cam was on another program, and he brought this picture up and another couple of pictures that were
right.
Yeah.
But I can see all the cameramen are in the background. Yeah.
Yes.
Presumably it wasn't.
And that is an amazing picture.
Yeah.
Really,
really. I think that's going to be a very iconic picture for many years to come.
Yep.
Yeah.
Country with them into America, into the United States, didn't they? They're kind of saying that they own it now. This interview I heard, this guy was saying that he heard the rioters openly chanting to try and hit the police in the head with the rocks. So this is a particularly nasty one. So if you ask me, you see, this is a result of just a breakdown in society, because what's happening is there's realistically more than one society. And once again, we see the host nation, the Americans, being sort of dominated by the Hispanic community, who realistically just want to do things their own way, okay? That's my opinion. You see, I'm not that convinced that assimilation works, and integration works. We're always saying that, as long as they assimilate, as long as they integrate. But I don't really think there's such a thing as, true integration or assimilation. That tends to only really happen if an immigrant is on their own, realistically. But if there's any sort of numbers at all, inevitably the immigrant group will sort of just make the place they move to their own place. It's happening here. We're seeing it now recently in Ireland.
It happens all over the world.
Yes.
It happens everywhere. Yeah. We've done the same when we went abroad as well. When there was a large number of us Irish, we basically brought Ireland with us. I think every nationality does that. But some cultures don't just bring their good bits, they also bring what made their country bad in the first place with them as well.
That's why Austin, Texas doesn't like Californians. I get it.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think when they start bringing their own, not just their good parts of their culture, but also the evil parts of the country that made their country the way it is, that they had to flee in the first place. That's where the problems also begin.
And with the Muslim community, especially, if you ask me, this whole, Croke Park thing, the Eid thing, just basically we are sort of conforming to what they want. So this is how it works. The host nation inevitably sort of has to agree to make compromises, to make exceptions, or whatever the word is, provide, to accommodate the needs. So with these riots now, it's not just Mexico. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's kind of happening everywhere. And it has, if you ask me, a multicultural undercurrent to it. It nearly always seems to involve a different group. We've seen it with BLM in America. We've seen it now in France only a week ago. It was disguised as, celebrations. PSG won the league. Ooh! Oh no, these are just people celebrating. They're just getting a bit overexcited. Groups of guys smashing car windows with girls sitting inside of the car, terrified, and then jumping on the roof, rioting. Yeah, it's just lads that are kind of excited that their team won. There was 700 fires. Who sets 700 fires in celebration of their team
was a
winning?
bit more than a couple of lads getting excited.
That's a lot of fires.
Yeah.
700 fires?
Yeah. Well, but it was just the way it was. He's laughing, but I do remember it being reported.
Well,
It's just a bunch of lads leaving off steam. You're kind of going, they're burning out everything.
Did someone win a big soccer game last week in France? Is that what happened?
Yeah. PSG. It was a big, massive soccer. But I'm laughing the same way as he's laughing because I remember it being reported, and it was just like, it's just lads being lads. You're kind of going, no, no, it's not.
Who played who?
Fires everywhere.
Who played who and who won? Who played who and who won?
It was a long story short. It was a big soccer game in France. PSG won, first time in a long time, and it was a lot of non-nationals support PSG of that particular team, and they decided to go and celebrate. And they celebrated. They really celebrated.
Would they beat Barcelona? Who'd they beat?
I'll get up the full article there now.
All right.
Actually.
We'll get on with this next break. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Making a fire with rental electric bikes, piling them up. 2 people dead, hundreds of people injured, police very badly injured. And you can be 100% sure that a lot of people on the left, we've seen it with the news companies, ABC, just saying, oh no, this isn't riots. These are people who are just rightfully protesting. I mean, this is crazy to describe events like this in this way. In Ireland as well, with our very, very pro-Palestinian following here. You can be absolutely sure that there's a lot of Irish people, a lot of Irish liberals endorsing what they see here being carried out in LA, if you ask me. Trump is the baddie no matter what. If it wasn't for Trump instilling this, border control thing, everything would be fine. It's all Trump's fault. That's the way it works. Actually, Trump is right, because if they're doing this over, a new border policy in which criminals are being deported and illegals, he was right to do it in the first place. And maybe more people need to be deported than what was first estimated. By the looks of things, lots of deportations needed in America.
We actually talked about this the other day. There was an assemblyman by the name of Jose Luis Solacha Jr. and a couple other people showed up and just said, "Oh no, we're scared. We don't know what's happening." You're an assemblyman. Get on the phone.
Yeah.
Call someone. Find out why they're there. But in the city of Paramount, across from the Home Depot, where all this stuff went down, is a ICE headquarter building. So when multiple vehicles get off the freeway that are ICE vehicles on an off-ramp to Paramount next to Bellflower and Lakewood,
I presume they're heading towards their office.
So there isn't a reason to be nervous or scared or not know or not understand, because you're allowed to interface with federal entities. Sometimes it's difficult in some sanctuary states because there's sanctions against actually following USC.
I do remember. I remember his statement, and I remember watching the videos.
Yes.
By the way, most of these videos were released by himself. So before anyone disagrees,
right.
I watched his videos, and his videos clearly showed ICE agents detaining people and taking them away and doing their job. That's what I saw from his videos. And he still stood there filming what they're doing with ICE, by the way. They weren't even subtle about their markings. They were full uniform. Even a person who was not American could figure out what they were doing. But obviously, this assemblyman was worried and shocked and didn't know what was going on, even though he was filming what was going on at the same time.
You know what my problem is? When you have a grown-ass man clutching his fucking pearls. I don't know what they're doing. I
don't know why
they're doing their job.
Are going in, arresting people. While I'm filming, by the way, he's filming all this. This is his own videos, by the way, which he did try to take down since, but, the internet being the internet. And he's standing there watching them do their job, talking, saying, I don't know what they're doing. And I'm going, I'm not even American, and I can tell you exactly what they're doing.
Well, the question is the confusion. Like, the thing is you're being confused on purpose. All you have to do is go, yes. I see the uniform. I see them performing their function per 8 USC. Yes. And okay, they've done the thing. Now, if I have a problem with a constituent in my area being arrested or whatever, I contact them and say, hey, one of my constituents should probably not be in your custody.
But I obviously said to you, and I keep saying about a lot of these politicians in California, they're playing up to their base to get re-elected in a lot of cases, including the assemblyman, by the way. And I think they don't quite realize that a lot of these federal agencies, especially the men and women working in these agencies, are only following orders. You know what I mean?
Well, anytime I attempt to interface with my state senator or state assemblyman, and I have done that on 3 or 4 occasions, their office gets back to me within a couple days with an email that says, hey, here's the answer to your question. And then beyond that, they say, do you need any further assistance or direction? And if I said yes, which I have done, they're like, well, try these other assets and resources, right? Because I had a question about a bill that my assemblyman put up, I think it was last year, and their staffers explained what was going on with it, why they wanted to do what they were doing, and I said, okay, well, I agree with that. I didn't understand it because the verbiage was a little cluttered, and they're like, oh, not a problem, Mr. Johansson. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time, right?
I've had the same with my local county councillors. I normally skip over the councillors, go straight for my TDs normally.
You should go right to the Tonish or the tea shop,
I just go to the local TD. It's usually easier. Whoever your local TD is, just go to your local TD, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Most county councillors, they're nice lads, but they're not going to really get things done. Just go to your local TD if you want stuff done, and that's just general advice to everyone in the country.
Well, the United States being structured slightly differently, like our state senators and state assemblymen are actually pretty good for the most part.
Our local TDs are really good. Our local county council, I know I kind of was half joking there. Some of them are really good. Some of them are, God bless them. I
think about 4 or 5 years ago, I moved from one district to another as far as my my state assembly person. And the one I had before was super helpful on a couple things, but just fell flat on a couple as well. So and then the office still contacts me, and I'll send them messages too. Hey, I don't agree with this policy thing you're trying to push or whatever, just because it ends up in my email box, because I've talked to their staffers as well, you know? And I've talked to them about really, really strange things that have passed as well. Like, why would you support or do that? It's in violation of 8 USC, or it's in violation of the Supremacy Clause. Like, you can't put, like, very weird stuff. Anywho, let's get back to our unbroken friend.
So California was always the kind of cool part of America. It was like the state to live in for years, you know.
The Golden State, yeah. It was incredible.
I want to go see Washington. I'll be honest.
Washington State or DC?
But DC itself, I like to see some of the museums.
Oh, dude, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
By the way, if anyone asks, I'm a really big history buff.
Really?
That's why I'm that guy who goes on holidays and goes to museums while on holidays. Okay, just saying.
Weirdo.
I mean, as a kid, even growing up, you know, it was like nearly everything you saw from the States. You know, we grew up on sort of American TV and stuff. So almost everything was Californian. You know, the whole surf thing and beaches and Baywatch. Do you remember Baywatch in the 90s? God, I love that era. Yeah. I really love the 90s. I miss it so bad. I really do. But that was California. That was LA. And I know it was never perfect. It was always fine. But what's happened recently, you get so many people that are moving away.
Could be wrong, but I think I know where he's filming.
Galway.
Actually, I think I recognize this beach. I think this is Youghal.
Really?
It's either Youghal or Cove. It's one of those two places.
I thought it was in Galway, but okay.
Famous people now that lived in LA, and they're getting out of it. Even Joe Rogan.
All right.
Finding it just ridiculous. And the taxes they're charging, and people will say that, you know, they're going because of taxes or whatever and the cost.
State taxes in California are between 13 and 15%, on top of tax for fuel and all the other stuff too.
That's a way less tax than us.
Right, but we also pay a federal tax as well. It's not
And how
just
much is the federal tax then?
Graduates up to as high as, I believe, 36%.
So you're paying about 50%?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, 36. So 50% of your wages are gone on tax alone.
Yep. 2/4 out of every dollar, pretty much. Yep. If you make a decent amount of money, yes.
Wow.
And then plus
is it kind of a stepped approach?
Yes. You get
right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
wow,
not the best.
50% tax rate. Wow. And then we whinge about our 20% over here.
For living and whatever. They might say that, but realistically, if the quality of life there was better, if there wasn't so much degradation, dilapidation on the streets and violence and just such a dystopian element, if there wasn't so much of that, maybe they'd stay. I'm very often accused of being a little bit negative here on the channel. Someone might.
We have had the second highest amount of people move out of the state of California. The only state that beats us is Illinois. The only place that people don't want to live more than California is they don't want to live in Illinois. But our
what's wrong with Illinois? No curiosity. What happened to Illinois?
Chicago. And the machine, the political machine there is pretty rough.
Oh, right.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, wow.
And they've replaced. So we have 39 to 40 million people in California, and they've replaced a lot of the people that have left with immigration, right? Sanctuary state. But what's happening now is we're getting a lot of people who left California who are now coming back. And a lot of it has to do with people are being forced to go back to the office, right? So when COVID hit, we lost lots and lots and lots of people because they could just work remotely from anywhere. But now companies are like, hey, you got to come back to the office. And they're like, but I moved to Austin, Texas. Well, do you want your job? Making a big fat check? Yeah, well, you got to come to the office.
Oh, I understand. I remember that time that a lot of people started working remotely. I think a lot of companies I know over here kind of kept it. They kept people working remotely.
Right. Well,
we're such a small country anyways. So it does, as long as you have a really good internet connection, it doesn't really matter where you kind of work remotely in Ireland. You can still come to the office within 2 hours, if you know what I mean, if you need be.
Right.
No matter, no matter where.
But if you're in Austin, Texas, and you're an 18-hour drive, 18 or 20-hour drive, you'd have to fly in on Monday, work all week, and then fly out on Friday.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So do you think this is a way of companies dragging people back to California? Is a way I'm saying it?
I think it's an efficiency issue.
Okay.
So when you don't have to go to an office, your corporate culture can be functionally destroyed, right? So you have
zero kind of a level of control with companies as well. They like to have everyone under one building.
Your company can't have a culture if none of them interact either.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So you can't generate any kind of loyalty, right? But then the companies, especially, so California is a right to work state. I can fire you. I can just be like, hey, Patrick, hey, Mr. McCallum, this relationship just isn't working out. So we're going to go ahead and
fire you at any time.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Is there a lot of states like that in the United States?
There's a few.
Where a company can just ring you up in the morning and say, good luck and thanks.
Yes.
That's it.
But but generally speaking, they can offer you a package, right? If you've been there for a while, a severance package and stuff like that. But the other side of that coin is you can leave the company as well. And
at any time.
Yeah, and they can't retaliate. You might have to sign an NDA or something, but if you want to go, you can go. And if they don't want you there, they don't have to have you there.
I know. It was funny, actually, because I was reading an article there a while back. And it's companies were giving out because people are literally getting up Monday morning, go in and say, here's the keys. Here's my all my stuff from work, good looking thanks, without giving notice. Companies are giving out kind of, well, everyone should give us 2 or 3 weeks notice, blah, blah, blah. And one guy, he was really well spoken, said, why should we give you 3 weeks when you have to give us less than 10 minutes notice when you want to fire us?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah. And I always kind of found that, well, any job I've ever left, I've normally done the 2 weeks. Normally.
I've given multiple companies I work for 2 weeks. Generally speaking, what they do is they just shuffle you out the door immediately. Because obviously you don't want to, well, it's happened to me 3 or 4 times. They're like, here's 2 weeks of pay. Good luck and thanks. Perfect. Thank you so much. You know, but that was more low end stuff, right? It wasn't like I was a CFO or an executive or something, and I wasn't a big baller. I was just, you know, one of the cogs in the machine. They're like, we're just going to get another cog. Here's your $47, Mr. Johansson. Good luck. Right?
It was funny, actually. Yeah. One of these days, I'll probably tell a story on how I quit one of my jobs.
The commentary is. But I really feel that this type of thing, this type of thing is sort of, it's in store for Ireland too, you know.
All right, folks, just as I'm editing this video, I found out about the situation in Ballymena. So there you go. What does that say to you? In case you're wondering why I didn't mention that in this video, it's obviously because I shot this video before Ballymena.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to the Claddagh.
I hate saying that, but I really think that
What was that word you used? Back to the Claddagh?
Yeah. So he's up by the burn. Okay. I was wondering where he is. I knew he was on the coastline somewhere. All right. But yeah, he's definitely, yeah.
What's the Claddagh?
It's up by the burn. If you ever come to Ireland, I bring you up with the Royal Atlantic Way, we call it now.
Okay.
If you come up the Royal Atlantic, yeah. When you come to Ireland, I'll bring you up the Royal Atlantic Way.
Sweet.
And by the way, everyone in all our people in the Irish audience, Ireland, I'm going to also show them the Connacht Gap.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get a proper big van as well for it, for our trip up the Connacht Gap.
So, for science, there are enough bars on the way, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, they're around the Royal Atlantic Way because I've driven that route many times. There's some beautiful, fantastic restaurants along the way as well. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, as long as it's on you, I'm ready to go.
I would say some of the best food in Europe, I would say.
Awesome. Oh, you're not biased at all.
Oh, God.
Rest is sort of our future if we keep doing what we're doing. So we've seen riots here too. And even though it was carried out by the far right, Maria, I would say some far right, I would say some angry people, and then I would...
What's the Maria?
It's a term of, you know, kind of people who just dress the part, just want to go out and riot.
Oh,
you know
they're cosplayers.
It's an Irish term. Yeah. It's an Irish term.
Irish cosplayers. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of street thugs that caused the sort of Dublin riots, which were a much bigger story than the actual reason for those riots. Once again, the reason for those riots was the attack that the Algerian man made. You see, if it was an Irish man that did such an attack, it would be equally as bad. It'd be worse in many ways because we'd expect more. Realistically, we do. We hold ourselves to a higher standard. But there wouldn't have been riots, you see. And the riots in Dublin were caused by anger against our government for the bullshit border policy that we have. In other words, these people carrying out these acts shouldn't be here. You know, and there was several, not just on the children that time, but several murders, several awful, assaults in Ireland that happened. So that's why people riot. But again, it's linked towards immigration. It really is. In the riots in France, when the police in France ended up shooting a kid, a young lad, that was ramming their car or something. He had stolen a car. He was acting very violently. He got himself shot. It's not nice, but, you know, he might have been let's be honest, he might have been acting in a way that was threatening. They found it threatening. They shot him. This was in France 2 years ago. So France was leveled over this one Muslim kid being 2 years ago. So France was leveled over this one Muslim kid being shot. And you'll see this in America as well. You know.
So he's committing what could instantly be multiple felonies against the police.
The French police. I do actually remember watching the story on Euronews.
Okay.
And it was I think it was a tragedy on both sides, really. But this young man has stolen a car. And I'm just going to, as they say, break it down Barney style, make it very simple.
Mm-hmm.
He stole a car. He was driving at true high speed. They stopped him with an armed police response, armed checkpoint.
Right.
He kept ramming the cars, the checkpoint, with the armed police.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he backed. I mean, he reverse backed up, and he went straight at them again. And they were shouting, stop. They were doing everything they could. They just took him out. And which, if you mess around, you're going to find out very quickly, because a lot of these police forces
seems pretty reasonable.
Especially on the European continent, are very heavily armed.
Right.
They are. Yeah, they don't mess around. And
but it doesn't seem like an unreasonable response. If someone's driving a car, which is, a 1-ton metal missile with wheels on it, if they're driving it that way, then it's reasonable to assume someone's going to stop you doing that, because it's unsafe for the other citizenry in the area.
Well, obviously the police officers have to protect themselves as well,
Right.
Okay, yes, they're heavily armed, but they've also got, as you say, a 1-ton vehicle flying towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, that's what they say, mess around and find out.
Yeah, FAFO, yes. Mess around and find out. FAFO, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, as you see, we're trying to be really play with our language these days.
Time after time, George Floyd, absolute waste of space. I know he's dead, 5 years now. Maybe I should be more respectful in my description, but I just think he was. I'm going to be honest with you. Thug, drug dealer. And then BLM decide to level America. Absolutely level the place. Assisted by Antifa and more left-wing.
He's at the football pitch.
Wingers, justified by the media, seen as a rightful protest, mostly peaceful. Several people dead, even children dead, in the George Floyd riots.
I really hate the expression "mostly peaceful," because it's either peaceful or it's not. Right? It's either one or the other. So yeah.
Was it all worth it? Well, what does it say to you? It says to you that blacks in America, the African American community, get a lot more angry when one of theirs gets killed by the police. There was cases of white people dying in police custody. There was a white woman that was shot by a black policeman. There was no riots over that in America. So I personally speaking, I am fully, unapologetically resigned to the fact that when you put different groups together like this, you are asking for riots. And you can see it even amongst themselves. Look at the Indian and Pakistani community now. That could blow up in the UK. And even looking at America with the Hispanic and black community, the Hispanic community.
The borders that the League of Nations / the UN put up in Pakistan and India was very, very bad. That was a very bad.
The great part, yeah.
Not
Remember,
good.
I was showing you the history behind that, actually.
Right. Well, and the other thing is
was yourself or somebody else I was talking to. I remember talking with somebody on before about the different parts of the world in history.
Right.
And I think what shocks me more is the young people have such a lack of general map knowledge or history.
Yeah, and it gives them bad perspective as well. And it was you. The funny, where you showed me this problem? Do you remember where you showed me this problem?
I did think now.
Crusader Kings 3.
Yes,
you showed me on the map. You're like, okay. So in 867, it was like this.
Yes.
And then in 1167, and then at 1300, you're like, Like you broke it down by every 100
I
years
broke
or
it
so.
down. It wasn't just for you. It was one. I won't say his name, but it was one daughter, young lads.
Was it our friend who visited Thailand?
No, it was actually.
Was it Doubting Thomas? Was it our
He's a
producer?
young. I try, as I said, I'm trying to be as. I try to protect his name.
Don't out him. Yeah, don't out him.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's the same young man who was very keen on Crusader Kings, but didn't quite understand the history behind it.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, I think you know the same young man because I was explaining the history to him.
And
most of them are kind of like I was talking. I had 15 heads, a lot of the young men, and really nice guys, as I say. But
you even broke down Irish history that way for me.
Yes,
because the game is so well done. You're like, here's where all the Saxons came in, and this is Brittany, and this is the Vikings, and I was like, oh wow, okay, awesome.
Let's try. I think it's the easy way. I think these historical games are fantastic for teaching people general, not just the history or the game itself, but making them look up the history as well afterwards. Find out a bit deeper into it.
Shout out to Paradox. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, gives them a bit. I remember. I think it was Hearts of Iron 4. I remember. I think was showing you as well. And it's based from 1936 up. If people want to know.
Oh, that one actually had a mod that went back to like 1919 or like literally right after World War I.
Yes, it has a World War I mod as well, and also it has one called Present Day mod. But I was showing everyone the way the country war.
Well researched. Oh yeah,
very well researched.
All right, he doesn't have a lot more to say. We got less than a minute to go, so let's let the Unbroken Man finish his thing.
In America have, I wouldn't say gentrified, but they've taken over a lot of black neighborhoods now. So do you think black people in America love all the Hispanics? I'm sure there's a lot that are standing in solidarity, but there's a lot of tension there between the two groups at the same time. So we don't really all get along as much as we'd like to think. So this is my thoughts on it anyway. The media will put their usual spin on it. They'll play it down, just like RTE. But we know the truth at the end of the day, guys. From the Claddagh on this lovely day, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. You can donate if you can, just see the links in the description and help me make more. So that's all from me today, guys. See ya, take care. If you've been watching my channel here.
There we go.
All right, everybody, go ahead and like and subscribe and ring the bell and do all of the things. I am Alex Johansson with my co-host,
and also,
Patrick McCallum.
Just before we do our intro there, I'm going to cut across Alex here. I'm going to leave a couple of links, as I say, down below. Some of the Ballymun and a lot of the different riots and protests going on around the country in the description down below. So if you check the first comments on this episode, you're going to have various links. And I hope you like and watch them as well as ourselves. Now, Alex, you can say our intro.
Okay. Let me try it again then. All right. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things. We'd love to have you around for another one. And thanks for visiting this time. Again, I am Alex Johansson, and that is my partner, Patrick McCallum. We are out.